Hey everyone, it's Synth Designer back again with another video. Today we are continuing our proof of work series, and if you're not familiar with it, I go through the entire process of creating a song and just to show you the background of song creation and all the work that goes into it. This is the fifth episode, I guess, or the fifth part, and so far, here's what we have. We have our chords, a drone, a sub, a top bass, and a drum pattern, and this little transition here. I am basing this off of a song called Celeste by Crocia. It's a chill synth track, and I'm not copying it, but I am arranging it in a very similar manner. I am taking a lot of inspiration from it, and I may release this in the end, I may not. It depends how it comes out. I haven't written a song in a couple of years, and I really wanted to just get back into it. And I found like this was the best way. I can show you how I go through the whole thing, and I get to just have fun and practice making tracks again. If it doesn't turn out, that's fine too. The point is just to show you everything that goes into it. Now, today I decided that I want to get into a melody, and that's the only thing I'm going to do in this session. When it comes to melodies, we have to be very cognizant of the fact that they are the least formulaic in a lot of ways. You don't have the luxury of, say, the chords or the bass that you can kind of repeat over and over. The melody is really the aspect that really makes it stand out, especially when you don't have vocals like in this track. I want the melody to stand out, and there's a lot of ways of doing that, and we'll get into it as we go. But I also want to preface by saying that this may take a while. This may even take a different session, and it can often be frustrating for people who aren't used to creating songs. They can't come up with a great melody, and that's because it is probably the most difficult part of writing a song. If you think about all the best songs out there, all the catchy pop songs, for example, they have incredible melodies in general. Not always. Sometimes it's a vocal melody. Sometimes it's like some sort of like little synth lines. Whatever it is, they often have great melodies, and that's because they want to kind of hook you. They want to hook the listener. And in chill synth, it's a little bit different. It could be a little bit more simple, and it's kind of adding to the atmosphere. And that's what we're going to try to do today. In the song that I mentioned before, it has a very, very, very simple melody. It's like a couple notes in between the rhythm, and that is what we're going to have to focus on. So when it comes to getting like a hack, let's just say, for melody making, I don't like to use those words often because hacks aren't really the way of creating music. It's about learning how to look at the process and think about the process. But if there are hacks, we should look at the first pattern, which has basically most of the notes that we need. When thinking about a melody, we obviously have to stick within the key. And if you remember, this was in the key of D minor. So all of these notes will work to some extent in our melodies. So we have D, A, F, C, B flat, G, E, and we might be missing something, but we don't have to use all the notes. But if we keep those in mind, we could kind of get somewhere. And one of the simple ways that I like to create melodies is just to copy all the notes, and then I can just make a new pattern, and I will actually open up a new instance of Serum here because we will want a new sound, and I'll just put this in here, wherever, and I will assign it to a track right away too, so I don't forget, and we'll call this lead. And obviously we don't want just this saw wave, so we're gonna just put a filter on it very simply here. Just open up a little bit. The reason we don't want a saw wave is because it's going to be very, very loud, or I should say we don't want just a saw wave. We want it with a filter. We want it to be a little bit quieter. But here we go. We have Serum 2 number 5. And we are going to paste the notes. So if we were just to play it, So we have that basic chord structure, but we don't want a chord structure. So we want some sort of notes in it. And in the melody in the song by Crocia, we have these kind of, I don't even know how to call it, these kind of like fading notes that are kind of in between the rhythm. So we might actually not even want a full sustain. We might just have a big kind of decay. And this is a great way of thinking about the sounds first, thinking about the way the sounds come off first, or I should say the way that they play in the song. Focus on that first rather than the actual preset. We can scroll through presets endlessly, and that's what we'll do till we find one, but we should focus on the actual melody first. And if you can get the basic kind of shape down, then you're well under your way, because then you are really focusing on the actual melody itself rather than the sounds. And the sounds themselves, you can keep looking, and if you were to look for the sounds first, you're gonna get stuck in that trap for too long. Something like that for now. So one way we could do this is just to plug it into the actual track, and we're gonna do that because this is where it's going to start. So we're gonna plug it in here, and the way I just mentioned it is it kind of repeats here through the track, and we're gonna just kind of start it over here and just repeat this over and over, and then we could play around with it. It's only in this section, and this is kind of why I had this transition going, because this is where it starts. We kind of want it in between the grooves, so we're gonna have to work on that quite a bit. For now, I'll maybe put on just my metronome and just, I don't know, play around with some notes. It's really simple, so it will be kind of like 2 notes per 4 bars, I think, is about where it was at least at the beginning, and then it will kind of repeat with slight variations. So we're going to focus on 2 notes. So we could do like a D and an A maybe. You're going to say, okay, this is not much of a melody, but that's what it is in the song. And if we're going to stay true to the song, then we may as well think about how it would sound. It was something like this. And we're going to put this into context too. Like I said, I want to hear like how it fits in with the groove, and it's going to be too hard to tell without it. So let's play the actual song, and we might have to turn up the actual preset as well. We could think about moving these as well. So there's a bunch of different ways you could think about it. You could think about the notes, you could think about the rhythm, you could think about the groove, where they sit. It's all part of it. There's no right or wrong way of, or wrong order of doing things. As long as you have the right kind of notes within your key, then you're set. What were some other notes? Do you guys remember? So I just need this end part here. The reason why this kind of works okay is because I'm not overlapping this melody with those big chords, and those big chords, even though they don't sound quite like they will in the end, I know that they're going to be playing a big role in the song, and by that I mean they're really going to stand out, and I don't want this melody to get in the way of that. I want it to fill in the space, and with the chords, they're kind of like dying off in the same way. And I mean that with the ADSR, they have that kind of long decay. They don't have that long sustain. If they had the big sustain, it'd be a little bit different, the vibe of those chords. They would be really taking up a lot of room for a long period of time, whereas they really decay, so it opens up more space, and we need to fill that space. And for me, that's what you could do with the melody. So we have the melody here. And we can fill in a little bit more. We could fill this out maybe for 8 bars so it's not completely repetitive. And think about it that way as well. So if we were to do it 8 bars, then I just have to take this out. And what I'll do is repeat these for another 4 bars each. Again, automation, we're not going to stress about that right now. We're just going to try to get a decent melody. Again, that's the focus of this session. Actually, I'm going to have this on repeat now because I don't want to have it starting over in a different spot. So let's go back and let's fill out this rest of this area. I think it's going to be very similar, but we want it to change a little bit. And I just did that on grid, which is not what I want. I can also think about if some of these notes are too much, then I can take out some of the notes here. For now, I'm going to keep this the same. I will come back to this and change it for sure, but I kind of want to get an idea of the sound now. Obviously, I'm not going to just keep it the same for 8 bars, but I'm confident that this is roughly the type of melody I'm going for. So I need to find the right sound now. And I'm going to go through my Synthwave Essentials packs. Again, if you're not familiar with the channel, all of these packs I released for free. Sorry, not all of them, but Synthwave Essentials 1 through 4, Synth Pop Sounds, Dreamscape Sounds, 2010 EDM, 90s Dance, Chill Vibes Volumes 1 and 2. All these are available at synthdesigner.com for free. No signups required, no catches. Just go and enjoy these. So let's listen to some. Some will be terrible, I'm telling you right now, but we need to come up and figure out a sound here. So let's just start. one. I really like that one, actually. I am going to search for more right now just for the sake of it. I remember now brassy lead, so I can come back to this anytime. That's not going to work. Very synth wavy. I've used this in different songs. Not really fitting the vibe. Go to chill vibes. And of course, you don't need to use lead sounds. I'm just using them. You could use any sounds you want for leads. It's all going to be about the notes you're playing anyway. It's not like you're playing chords here. Similar to the first one. Pads, they could work. The only thing is they are going to take up a lot of room. They're designed to. Okay, so I think we tried enough here. So let's go back to brassy lead here. As you can see, this ADSR is not right. And we're gonna change the cutoff as well. We do want this to sustain a bit more. Right now I really feel like it's doing a great job here. I'm gonna just turn this down. So I'm gonna go back now and figure out the note arrangement. I'm going to mess around with this first part. I like this. I feel like there's enough notes, and maybe if I take out a couple in this first part, I could kind of slowly introduce it a little bit more. So and of course, we don't need to keep this repeating all throughout. We can change this up at any time. The great thing about this is it's a very simple melody, so we don't have to be following it all the time. It's not like there's some sort of hook going here. This is just kind of our basis or starting point, and it's going to be repeating here and there for sure. We can extend it out to 16 bars very easily as well, and just keep with some of these notes. The other thing we can do, so we want to kind of humanize it in a way, using some air quotes here. Obviously, it's not going to sound quite human, but we want to just arbitrarily kind of move around this velocity to accentuate some notes while making some notes quieter. This kind of just gives it a little bit of a different feel, and then we can also take all the notes we have here and then click Alt Q, which is our quantizer. So the start time we can move around. As you can see, check out the notes, how they're moving off the grid a little bit. If you're noticing, it's moving slightly off and slightly on. And then duration. And then sensitivity as well. So you can play it out. These are all very subtle differences, but in the end, they'll make a difference when you add them all up. So there we have it. We have a very basic melody, but that's what the song calls for, and that's what we're going to stick with. We created an 8-bar melody. Again, the point here is that we have the basis of the melody, in the song itself, it doesn't repeat over and over, so we can just keep adding some of these notes. Say we want to, let's go back to look at it. Say we want this section here to be the final melody, like that's what it builds to. We can just take out some of these notes still. We don't have to keep them all in here, and we could kind of build up to get to that. And then say we build up to 12 bars or something, or 16 bars, we get to this final melody, and then we kind of drop it out and go back to something else. So we're going to play around with that, but the basis of the melody is set, and that is what I wanted to do in this session, and that's what we did. So a very focused session on this one. Hopefully you got some ideas on how to build your own melodies. I know this is a simple one, but the rules apply no matter what. Think about the chords you have, the key you have, use those notes. Think about also the melody type. Now, if you have very quick notes, you'll have to make kind of quick, plucky notes. Find a plucky kind of preset, but you don't have to do that first. Just make a very basic, plucky sound and build your melody first, then look for the sounds. That's what we did. And then we finalized the notes back at the end once we had kind of a rough idea of the sound. We're going to refine all these sounds. These are not final. I don't like to think about the final sound right away. That's never going to happen. I don't like fine-tuning things to the nth degree. At the beginning, I like to lay things out. And then in the next session, I will probably think about the ARP, which is the next sound that comes into play. And then we'll move on from there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you all next time.